where is it being grabbed and what's happening where it's being grabbed. Because one would think, oh, well, if you're going into Zambia in Africa, you would surely be bringing jobs and infrastructure. One would think that.
Totally.
But that's not what happened. So where's it being grabbed and what's happening where it's being grabbed?
Well, this is a trend really we're seeing all over the world, right? And to be clear, like when we say grabbing, these deals are largely legal, right? Like they're totally legal. The governments are letting it happen. It's happening here in the U.S. And it's, a long tradition of sort of neoliberal international trade, right? Where if one country's short on water, another country has water, you can effectively move water from one place to the next by exporting or importing food. That totally makes sense.
Great.
The issue is that in certain areas, and now I'll use like Arizona as an example. So one of the places I found Saudi Arabia's largest dairy company was in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, right? And so in 2015, about 10 years ago, I broke this story how Al Marai, with this subsidiary Fondomonte, had bought about 15 square miles of desert in Arizona. I mean, we're talking like saguaro cactuses, like Wile E. Coyote, like, cartoon-ish desert. And again, they were pumping up the water from underneath this ancient water and using it to irrigate the same playbook to grow hay that they would then ship to Long Beach. And then the hay would get shipped back to Saudi Arabia to feed the dairy cows there. And the issue is that water, where they're pumping it up and using it, it will pretty much never come back. They don't get enough rainfall to ever refill those aquifers. And there's people that live there now. And so they were seeing their groundwater, are seeing their groundwater slowly declining, right? And at some point, you keep pumping it, that groundwater goes away because it's not really being replenished because it's a desert.
Right.
And so the issue is that in some parts of the world, there is coming in and in this case, tapping the water in a way that is not sustainable for the long term, the medium term, and increasingly even the short term.
Right.
And so people are getting pushed off of their land. They're essentially having their wealth potentially taken from them because a land or home without water is
worthless,
pretty low value.
Right. Can you explain something to me? DeSantis has this whole thing about China grabbing farmland in America. Mm-hmm. That's this?
Well, I think, so I broke this story like 10 years ago, and I think at that point it wasn't particularly well known, right?
I don't know that it is at all still.
Yeah, I feel like now both the Democrats and the Republicans are pretty keyed up on this idea of foreign companies or countries coming in and focused on agriculture here.
Okay.
I feel like that part's waking up. What I think isn't entirely still clear is like what's driving it exactly.
Right, because I thought it's like, they're buying land to spy on something?
Yes.
To be next door to something,
right.
Or to do what you're talking about, to siphon off pork or water,
right.
Or food, water, et cetera, what have you. But we still don't really know?
No, I think it's pretty clear that countries are very focused on their national security, right? And they have to be able to feed their people. There's a political expression when people are starving, they eat the government.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have uprisings.
Of course.
Yes. And so you need to make sure that you have the resources in place, the basic resources, water, food, for your population. That's like paramount.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.